Everybody, welcome back to the podcast. A lot of manga stuff going on this week we'll get into. But first, of course, we got an email from the boy Mark. So thank you, fam. And that is unversepodcast@gmail.com. And before we get into some questions, he had some stuff about Tomb Raider, specifically Shadow of the Tomb Raider. I talked about it last time of how Laura kind of looks weird. She doesn't look like she belongs in the environment that you're going through. And he mainly says it's a new engine, which is why it looks different from the past two games. And he gives his thoughts about Xenoblade 2, because, you know, we were talking about that. And he thinks it's way too anime. Waifus aside, the story mood and the characters, they're just, they throw too much of the anime motifs in there. And it's one of those things where it has scripted events. Like, you know, the classic thing in games where it's just like you have to fight a character, you win the fight, but then when you get into the cutscene, it's like, oh no, you lost. And it's like, but I beat the guy.
Kingdom Hearts 1 does that with Squall or Leon. That you could lose, you get the same result. You win, you get the same result. It's like, well, why do I even need to fight you, dog? Like,
yeah, I like it nowadays where you fight a character you are going to lose to, and you can tell just because of the amount of HP and just damage they're doing. Like, I remember when Best Friends, when they did the LP for the Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite story, and like, you know, in the beginning you fight Ultra Sigma or Ultron Sigma, and it's just like, I mean, you could beat him, but do you really want to sit there and grind all that HP out of him?
Oh, dude, I did.
Yeah, why would you do that?
Because it just, dude, it's sometimes you just want to see, you just want to find out, can I do it? Can it be done? You know, like I'm gonna go back to that Kingdom Hearts thing, dude. Like, when I found out I could beat him, I was like, I need to see if I can. So then my next playthrough, I was like, I'm gonna do it, dude. As long as I have guard, this dude's done. Game over. I think it depends on the context of the fight. Like, does he could do pretty cool stuff, or is he just pretty generic and just like, kind of like one hits you, you know, and you're like, ah, damn, you got me.
Yeah,
you know.
I mean, it also does depend. Like, if you get rewarded for beating him, like with bonus stuff, then I'm down for it. Like in Tenkaichi 2, there are fights where you will lose, mainly because there is a timer set up, or it's like they're just too strong. But if you beat them, you get bonus items that unlock hidden characters in the roster. I like stuff like that. Like when you can incentivize all the bullshit you have to go through for something that's not even going to affect the story.
Exactly.
Or if it's stuff like DMC5, you know, the introduction fight, you're not going to win, but you could really grind it, and then it just says, oh yeah, you beat the game because you beat the bad guy right now. So that's fun stuff. Or even stuff like in Far Cry 4, there's the moment where you're sitting there with Pagan Min in his house, and he's like, oh, if you just wait, I'll come back. And if you actually wait, he will come back. And the whole point of the game is you're there to bury your mom's ashes, but then you get caught in this civil war in this country. But if you wait in the palace, Pagan Min's like, okay, let's go take your mom's ashes to the place. And then you take it there, and then the game's over. But anywho, yeah, we do get some questions from the boy. And he says, since we're kind of in a video game drought, what have you guys done to pass the time when there's nothing to play? If you have any examples. And I mean, it is true. I was talking to Akil the other day because he just got his PS5 recently, and he was like, I don't know what's like. I want to play a PS5 game, but what is there? And it's like, yeah, that's true. There's really not a lot right now.
I mean, you could get Demon's Souls, but again, that's just the rinse and repeat of the PS3 version.
Yeah, like if you want something new, and like I threw him some ideas. He's like, yeah, I'm just not really feeling that stuff. And I'm like, yeah, well, I mean, we're just gonna have to wait. Like, I know we're both excited for Returnal, but aside from that, yeah, there's just not a whole lot.
It kind of feels like when the Switch came out, in a way. It's like, oh, dude, Switch is out. We got, like, Mario and Breath of the Wild. It's like, okay, well, that's the staple that we get with every single new Nintendo drop. It's kind of like, okay, well, what else is there, you know? And that's how I feel now with the PS5. Like, there's that bare bones of, like, not these super big IP games. And, like, we're kind of just sitting here waiting. I mean, the games that are out now, they're fine. You know, like, I really like Demon's Souls. I really like Bugsnax, but Bugsnax is also, like, on PS4 and I think on Steam as well. So there's nothing really that is a like super like I have to drop the money right now to get it. I think Returnal would be the one that I can think of that's going to come up super recently. After that, for me on my radar, it would be the DLC for Remake.
Yeah, and then for me, it's the same stuff as well as Ratchet and Clank. That's out in, I think it's the same day as Intergrade.
Oh, and then Guilty Gear, but that's on all consoles, but I'll get that on PS5.
But yeah, what am I doing while I'm waiting for AAA or for new games, basically? I mean, we have Yakuza to play through, so I'm doing all that. And yeah, just mainly the backlog stuff that I should be going through instead of buying all these games on sale.
Yeah, dude, we live the same crisis, dude.
Yeah.
Like, I got Bravely Default 2, and I still haven't touched it because I'm trying to play Xenoblade. Besides that, there's always Smash. The grind is always on there. I mean, I guess that's really it. Like, I thought about hopping back into Demon Souls to try and go for the plat. I think this is where it's good to have a backlog, right? Because you can fill that space with so much more things that you're like, oh, wow, this was actually really good, or wow, this was kind of ass, or, we'll find like an indie game that's like fucking amazing, like the one that you found, Sayonara Wild Hearts. Cash money,
Yeah, and also for me, when it comes to big titles that are coming out, it really just depends on how excited I am. Like, I did want to play Remake when it came out, but I'm like, well, I want to dive into the original series first. Ghost of Tsushima, I want to play that game. I have it. Oh, this is going to be that type of game you have to invest a lot of time in. I didn't really feel like doing it at the time when it came out. And then plus right now, my focus is just Yakuza. Like, I want to get through Yakuza already. Like, stuff like Returnal and Ratchet and Clank, I will play when it comes out because I am excited for that.
Yeah, and I think like getting into a series that has a lot of games like, like Yakuza, it's going to be a good time. I mean, right now they're all free on Games Pass. Why not just dive in and see what it's all about? And they are fucking phenomenal. I've never worried about the downtime when it comes between huge games that I'm excited for because there's so much more to do.
He also asks that we'll bring into, for the new stuff, talking about the reports for the PS3 and Vita stores. It's reported that they're going to close down sometime this summer. Hey gamers, as you might know, we do record these episodes early. It's never the day of they release. As I'm editing this episode, what do we get? Boom. Sony finally getting the official confirmation of the shutdown for the PSN stores on PSP, Vita, and PS3. We talked about how it was worrisome because, what are we going to do with all these games that we're never going to be able to play anywhere else? That was a big issue for a lot of people. And then also the fact that we need the store to be able to download these games. So what happens when it's down, stuff like the PSP Go, as people mentioned, is useless, right? And then I also go on about how, well, the Vita storage is crap as well. They're super expensive and really not worth the money that they are for the really big sizes. Thankfully, with this announcement, they said, well, what can you still do with these consoles once the PSN is down? And thankfully, they said you can re-download games you own as well as stuff that you have on PS Plus as long as you're still a member. So that is fantastic to hear. And with this announcement, they said it's going to be in July for the PS3 store, which is really soon. It's going to come by sooner than we expect. And then for the Vita, and I believe it was the PSP as well, that's going to be August. We still think it sucks this store is shutting down for all three of these consoles, but we're thankful that we can re-download the games that we already own. But yeah, I wanted to throw it in here because, yeah, we go about the rumors, and it's like, well, I don't really want to wait a whole week and say, hey, guys, we forgot. And instead of cutting the bit, let's just come in here. But yeah, our biggest worries were games that we still need to play and then our digital library. So this is the best of both worlds. This is the middle ground, right? Preferably just keep the store open. But if we can't keep it open, then this is the best chance that we'll have for it. And all right, gamers, back to the episode. And he says, I know it sucks, but I literally beat majority of the games that are in those stores already. Is there anything that you guys still need to play or want to play before it goes off? And yes, I've mentioned it before, but I am a late gamer. You know, when I got my PS3 was like the tail end of the generation. And then eventually when the PS4 came out, I'm like, oh, well, new console, let's play the new console. So there are a bunch of games I haven't played that I do want to check out that are on PSN.
Persona 1 and 2 for the Vita, I need to go through those. I mean, I ended up rebuying 3 just because why not? Because Portable's pretty good, you know. And there's just a few other Vita games that I would like to go through and play with PSP games. And then for PS3, I mean, obviously there's so many really good fighting games that were ported over to that, you know, of like the PS2 era, like Capcom vs. SNK 2. I need to go through the list.
I don't think I mentioned it on the podcast, but I bought Yakuza Dead Souls, right? That's like the zombie spin-off game. Let's get into some better news. Lydia, we got her character trailer for Tekken 7, and she's actually already out. She looks great. I haven't touched the character yet. She looks fun. I can't wait to try her out.
Yeah, I think I might just pull the trigger and grab her up because she looks like a good time. I mean, plus, dude, any waifu that comes into the game, you already know. You already know where we are.
That's probably the end of Tekken 7. You know, aside from balance patches and all that. I think I mentioned it last time we hung out. I just looking at the roster. I'm like, I mean, there's still 4 slots to get the roster a nice even rectangle. I'm just saying we could get a season 5 and that would be cool, but
I mean, I don't know what other game would do seasons like that besides Street Fighter, and I feel like Tekken could easily just do, you know, maybe like 2 years, like Tekken 8, just because this roster's already solid. I mean, look, we always say it. You put Negan in the damn game. Come on, man. Like, what more? How else can you top that besides like Noctis? But even then, that's just another Final Fantasy character. Like, you got somebody from a TV show in here.
And then other than that, like, there's really not a whole lot of news that caught my eye. But Ghost of Tsushima, mentioned it earlier, they announced that they're making a movie for it. And we're getting the director that did the John Wick series.
That's going to be spicy, dude. I'm telling you.
You know, I don't know, because the Uncharted movie was in production hell way before they came out with the PlayStation Studio stuff. They want to do this in-house now. Like, they'll get the teams that they need to make the movies, but it's under PlayStation's watch. So I think this might be the first big project. You know, I've seen bits and pieces of the game, and as far as I'm concerned, it'll probably do well as a film.
It might be time to actually play the game, dude. I've got it too.
Yeah, I really want to dive in, especially with the update that they did for to play it on PS5. And then on my end, I haven't really done a lot, just been reading manga. And then I went back and played more Yakuza 3. I think I'm on chapter 8 or 9. I know I passed the halfway point already. It's like 14 or 15 chapters, I think. 12 chapters. So yeah, I'm like 2/3 into the game. And the last time I talked about it was like, oh man, 4 chapters in and we're still in the prologue. Like, could we pick it up and actually get into the story? So far, this is at the bottom of the list for me, for my Yakuza rankings. I think the biggest thing is the story's just really not catching me. I mentioned it when I was playing Kiwami 2 of how, oh yeah, you could see the cookie cutter stuff as far as like the way the story's being set up, and then of course all the gameplay leading up to the big boss fights and all that. All that's standard, you know, I'm not expecting anything different here. But I was thinking about it today of, yeah, you know what it is that did not upset me, that did disappoint me in the games was the fact that so many family heads in the Tojo clan change every single game. There's always a new roster coming in. I think that's my problem here, because I was thinking in Yakuza 0, where a lot of new fans like us come in, we're introduced to the characters for the first time, so we have an established setting of who's important to who. You get to Kiwami, there are new faces, but we still get the familiar faces that are tied into the story.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's like, oh, okay, cool, I'm really invested into this because I already know these characters. And then you get to Kiwami 2, and it's like, okay, the characters that were introduced that are important in 1 are back, so we have that familiarity. We're introduced to new characters that are going to be important to the story, and I find them interesting. And then here in 3, it just does the same thing. It's like, okay, here's the characters that were established since Yakuza 1 that are there, and they're part of the story. But of course, with all the new characters coming in, some of them have to get left behind in the introduction stuff. The new characters we get introduced to that would be allies for Kiryu, I think they're cool, they're promising, I can see potential in their character. It's not enough because then we have to focus on all these other new characters that show up that Kiryu has to face off. They're just too plain for me. The main antagonist in Kiwami 2, those are pretty interesting characters for Kiryu to fight, right? Just the way they present themselves and the history that they have. And then for 3 right now, the characters that are brought up that Kiryu has to face, it's like, oh, these are just normal Yakuza people. They're not as crazy as I was hoping they would be.
Right, they don't have anything crazy going on.
Yeah.
They're just like your standard, like probably big sub-story boss, right?
Yeah. And that, you know, again, this is just my thoughts right now, and then maybe it'll change by the time I get to the end game. You know, one thing that does suck about recurring characters is it's all the same stuff. In Kiwami and Kiwami 2, we have the florist. The way he was introduced in Kiwami 2, he's not there a whole lot. He's just there to fill the role that he has to fill. And it's like, hey, Kiryu, long time no see. And it's just the same thing here in Yakuza 3. So he's there, and then he goes away. And then, of course, you know, we have our boy, Majima. The stuff that he does in 3, we saw in Kiwami 2. I was like, oh, I want more of that, though. I want to see how he plays off. Since he's not that important to the story, he's not going to be there that often. So I just have a lot of that going on. And it's just us, and plus with the story not really catching my eye, I'm like, yeah, it's pretty meh. I don't know. I mean, everything else plays the same like Yakuza, like you would expect. That's not what I'm here for. Yeah, I mean, of course, I'm here for the combat and all the wacky side stuff you can do, but mainly we're here for the story.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
So I still have 3-4 chapters to go through, so hopefully it changes my mind by the end. Yeah, anime side, Shonen Jump's been hitting it this week. 3 new anime movies coming out, all Jump titles. We got the teaser for the new My Hero movie. What was it called? I think World Heroes. We got the release date for August, and starting out strong. Have you checked that out, Adam? It was only like a 20-second teaser.
Nah, the only thing I saw for it was the screen cap saying that Midoriya is wanted for murder.
We're starting off hard. All right.
Yeah. That's all I saw. And I was like, okay, you know what? I'm gonna wait for like a full length trailer or something.
Yeah, I liked what I saw so far. I think the My Hero movies are pretty good. And what caught my eye was they do get new suits. They're like stealth suits or something. And Midoriya's looks pretty rad.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, just, you know, because he has that goofy hoodie that he never wears anymore. Because I'm guessing because the fans didn't like it when he put it on. But they changed that design a little bit too. And I was like, oh, that hoodie actually looks pretty cool now. It's an anime movie, so it's going more towards the anime audience. It's also, I think, going towards the manga fans because just the tone, right, with Midoriya being wanted for mass murder and all that, it's going hand in hand with the tone that's going on in the manga right now. It's taken a shift, and I'm really liking the shift. I don't know if you're caught up with it, Adam.
No, I'm still exactly where I was at before.
Oh man, I'd say it's a good time to catch up. I feel like we're entering the final phase for the story, and then
didn't they say? I think I read this somewhere on the thread that he was looking to end it soon, or like they're getting in its final like few arcs or something like that.
I think so. I know they said that with another Shonen Jump series. I think Jujutsu Kaisen as well. I think that's entering its final phase.
I wouldn't be surprised. When I started that like a year and a half ago or so, I was like, okay, you can only go so far with this. There is a resolution here. Like, we're going to get there. It's probably going to be a little bit of a road. But I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah. Yeah, so I think this third movie is going to be, you know, for the manga and anime audience, just like how
there's 3 My Hero movies?
Yeah, they the mangaka did a deal to where they were, I don't know how many movies they said they were going to do, but it was going to be for every other year.
That's wild.
It is pretty wild because oh
I
gosh, hold on. Yeah, we got an
I don't know
article
who
here.
I don't know who else gets that kind of love. Maybe besides like the old Naruto movies and like the One Piece films. But
And Dragon Ball.
yeah, yeah, and Dragon Ball.
I guess this generation of manga, I guess post like Naruto and Bleach, like we don't see a lot of series get movies nowadays.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I forget how many movies was slated in this deal the mangaka did, but yeah, he did say like every other year there was going to be a My Hero movie. But that's pretty crazy. Every other year, like with One Piece, it's like every 2 or 3 years. But I think that also plays in hand with how popular My Hero is in the West.
Right, right. That makes sense.
Yeah, because as big as One Piece is, it's not that big animation wise out here. I mean, especially since the dub stopped like 500 episodes ago or something.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, I'm excited. Again, it's the My Hero movie is coming out in August, and I think that's the Japanese one release. So hoping we'll see what the English one is, and then how soon we can get that. And then they also announced Jujutsu Kaisen. We mentioned it earlier. That's also getting a movie. It's actually a prequel, and it's going to be based off of Volume 0 for the manga that's out.
It's gonna be a good one.
Yeah, so it's not an original take like most anime movies are. It's going to be canon, and since we have the material reference, it's going to be solid. That's why I'm still looking forward to the Demon Slayer movie, because that's an arc from the series that a lot of people like, myself included. Okay, now I should probably get into Jujutsu Kaisen.
It's a good time, man. I don't know why I stopped reading it, but it's a good time. It's like everything else. I don't know why I stopped, but it's
I mean,
just,
I know why I would have stopped. I read too much manga.
Yeah, I always say I was probably really into Tower at the time, or there was like a really good arc that I was like, I'm just invested. I don't want to read anything else.
Mm-hmm. I like Golden Kamui, but for some reason I just stopped reading, and now I'm way behind. I'm like, I need to catch up, and it's like, oh wait, but there's also 5 other series I should probably catch up to that I just haven't read.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so that's why all the new stuff I'm reading, I'm like, is it over? Okay, let's check that out first, and then that way I don't have to get left behind on the chapters.
Yeah, I think that's usually where I'm at too. Like I've been asking you for weeks, like, is Attack on Titan over yet? So I can give it another chance.
Yeah, and that's that final chapter is coming out in like a week or two. We're almost there.
Oh shit, dude! All right, might as well.
Yeah, man, I'm excited. I'm interested to see how they're gonna end off the series here for my for Attack on Titan. And then finally, Black Clover. This is the 6th year anniversary for the series. And then in this week's issue of Jump, they announced that it's also getting a movie.
I could see that. I think an anime movie for that will do fine because of how fast it already is.
Yeah, I mean, I'll say I'm surprised we didn't get one sooner.
Yeah, that's another thing I was just thinking.
Because there's it's what, over 100 episodes for the anime at this point?
I think so, and I think the anime started 3 years ago. 2?
Gosh, I don't even remember.
It may have been 3.
Yeah, and Black Clover, it's a series that I'll respect because it understands what it is. It's a battle series for young boys.
Mm-hmm.
And the charm it has is the breakneck speed that it does for its pacing.
Yeah.
Where you would have an arc, say like in Naruto for training, that's 1 or 2 chapters in Black Clover.
Mm-hmm.
It's so crazy how fast it goes, and it's here to be flashy and have some cool looking characters.
Yeah, I think that's what drew me in and why I kept reading it for so long. And then I got to a part where I figured, okay, you know what? I'll stop here. I'll come back to it later. But it did have that appeal to me. I think as far as anything else goes with it on my end, I think you can't really take it anywhere else, right? Just
Yeah.
it knows its limitations, it knows what it's trying to do, and it does a pretty good job at it.
Exactly. Like, yeah, it was another situation. I stopped reading it, and then I was like, let me catch up. Let's see what's going on with it. And it's just more or less doing the same stuff. I'm currently caught up. I haven't read this week's chapter yet, but I mean, I know what to expect because it's the average, right? Like all the cliche stuff you would expect in shonen, it's here. It's reading the notes from class and saying, okay, let's just do this, but faster and flashier. You know, it got explosive popularity for the anime. So I think that's what really helped it. But again, I'm surprised we didn't get this like 2-3 years ago, right? Because at the height of the popularity. And
Right.
I guess it makes sense because the anime is ending, I guess. Or at least it's stopping with this season. And then I don't know where it's going to go because last I checked, where the anime is right now is the current arc that the manga is in.
Okay.
Yeah. I always mention in our chats of how close the One Piece anime is, but there's still enough stretch. But for Black Clover, I'm pretty sure that fight happened not that long ago in the manga. This is crazy. And I know there's filler content, but I don't know if there was filler arcs for the anime. So it's pretty wild. And then, that's all the big jump news aside from Promised Neverland. Just go on Twitter, you'll see. But aside from all that, that's pretty much going to wrap us up here this week. Not a whole lot of stuff, like I said earlier. We had to delay the Webtoon episode, but no worries, it'll be out this week. Again, we're going to be talking about that new series, Viral Hit, from the Lookism author. And I'm caught up, and I got to say, it's a good time. Go just check it out now.
Once I saw the reference to it in a comment thread on Webtoon, I was like, hold on, man. It's from the same guy. And yeah, it's I highly recommend it. There's not too many chapters. 2 chapters a week. I think we said it before. I'm enjoying every minute of it.
So that'll be out this week. And of course, as usual, the manga episodes. Yeah, we're nearing the end of the run that I'm going through for the Super String universe over at Y Lab. So by next week, we should be done with that and then go back to some normal manga. And then apologies for the delay, but yeah, Marvel Talk will be out. It should be out this week for the Snyder Cut talk. I didn't watch the whole thing again, but I saw clips and bits because they came out with the black and white version of the movie. I like the heavy dialogue scenes in black and white. I think that stuff is fine. But then when we get into the action, there's a lot of flashes, there's a lot of lights going on, and just without the color, it just doesn't really hit the same. Especially with the Flash.
Oh, right.
When he's running around, there's lightning sparking all over the place, and it's like that nice blue, and then here it's just like a really bright white, and there's a specific scene where it's like a big chunk of lightning, and it's just really flashing your eyes. So I think some of that stuff should be better left in color. I mean, to be honest, I think how much of the saturation is out of just the normal colorized version, I think that's fine. It almost looks black and white depending on what your setting on your TV is. So I just checked out just a bit just to see what was going on, but it's just better with the normal Snyder Cut version, I would say.
Dude, how is it when you see Ancient Lamentations start playing on the screen?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, that just gave me an idea. Oh my god, I know what I'm doing now.
I think I know what you're talking about.
Oh man, it's so good. Okay.
BFM got delayed as well, but we'll be getting to you guys soon with that. I took a break from streaming. It's been a week, so I'll be back soon. Shout out Tomb Raider, and then maybe Yakuza 3. I've been playing that off stream, so we'll see if I beat it or not before the next time I stream that. And that's twitch.tv Negator7. Jerry's currently going through his platinum run for Miles Morales, as well as I forget which Arkham game, but he's going through one of the Arkham games. And that's at Jerry Omega. And then, we almost forgot to mention the day we're recording, Kingdom Hearts turns 19.
Dude, where my whole life changed forever.
Whenever you're back on streaming, it's just more Kingdom Hearts, right?
Yeah, exactly. I'll be finishing up Chain of Memories. I'm still at the same spot I was at before, which is Destiny Islands. So I'm basically almost done with Sora's side, then got to run through Riku's. And then I've been saying it, I'll probably take a short break from Kingdom Hearts and then hop into something else just to give it a little bit more flavor. There are going to be actual commands on the stream next time I hop in, so be on the lookout for that. It's going to be a fun time, and that'll be at twitch.tv/BamAdam.
Thanks for swinging by on the episode. As we ended off here, forgot to mention it last time, but the boy Square from EXO dropped an album called Phenomenal, and it's pretty good.
Highly recommend. 10 out of 10.
Yeah, it's very different from what Bill and Rav normally do for their music. It is very Square. This is how his music usually is, and I was really digging it. So go give it a listen. Link in the description as we outro with one of the songs from the album. So thanks, guys, and we'll catch you on the next episode.
Some friends they come, they go. Some days just might lay low. How come still walking this slow? Look to the past with the confidence flow. I'm living on this growth. I feel so ominous though. Night seem blurry, gonna color van go when the colors all running the other van broke. Look at them now. You don't even no. Being so loud, feeling so proud, feeling so low. No, if I don't feel it now, I'm gonna feel it when I'm older. Yeah, feeling like every day is slow. Feeling like everything is past tense. Case was different, outlasting. Raise the instant, don't cash in. Every day on my ass, better add some action. Truth don't come from your passions. The truth don't live in no mansions. Euphemisms don't mash it. Still you pretend to know half of it. It's no accident that all this shit come crashing in. You know it's not just happening to you, so you'll grow after this. It's true goes through no packaging. You just gotta break shit down. You'll never make it out. Thinking on the wasted out. You can never change him now. Yeah. Ain't no way to reign entropy. Flip pages back, it's our history. Just gotta find a reason to be kind, believe it. Never mind the pieces, take this from me. I was stuck on misery in private, public mystery. No time for love and listening to other people's misery. So what? Yeah, had to change my mind a bit. It's a 9 to 5 to shit. Thoughts that fight for the right to exist. All my life in a life for the is. All my pride getting tight to this shit. I didn't like that, I like to pretend. Endless cycles, it's time to forget. Yeah, some friends they come, they go. Some days just might lay low.